Time to get an update on the city of St. Catharines with Mayor Walter Sendzik via Skype. Good morning. Thanks again for joining us. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Bob.
So of course, here we are in the second wave. We're seeing a spike in many spots throughout the province. St. Catharines, no exception. And of course, there was a couple of Catholic schools impacted. Your concerns and heading into Halloween as well. Let's talk about that.
Well, of course, Bob. And I think from the community's perspective, this shouldn't have been unanticipated. The reemergence of the virus is something that communities around the world are dealing with, the second wave, as they call it. But it's the degree of the second wave that we are in control of, we as communities. And so when you see the numbers start to increase, it gets concerning. People become anxious. But I think people have to refocus their efforts on what are they doing to contain the virus. So when you see it emerge at a school or when you see the numbers start to climb, it's an opportunity for us as a community to ask ourselves, what are we doing to push back at the virus? And that's really the key message that I think we're hearing from governments is we've got to do more as individuals in order to make sure that we keep our schools open, our economy open, and our healthcare system from being overwhelmed.
And yes, a critical time to keep it in check. And of course, we're dealing with the problems with centers getting overwhelmed with testing. Pharmacies can now do it, and that's for asymptomatic cases. That's certainly going to help relieve things. Are there pharmacies in St. Catharines that are on the participating list?
So we are aware that one is. We just don't have the details yet, but it will relieve some of the pressure that the Niagara Health System is facing around the testing. And it's all part of a very complex, if you will, formula on how do we make sure that we're containing the virus. And it starts with the testing, but it's also the contact base that people need to be ensured. People need to ensure that they have the information that's being provided to restaurants, and when you go out to places where you're giving your name, you're giving your number, and that's all part of the process of how we're gonna make sure that the second wave is only a ripple.
Yeah, let's talk about city business. With other levels of government, some programs are winding down. You had some tax deferral programs. Where are we at in terms of any tax relief and the budget overall? Where are we at?
Well, we're moving towards looking at the support for business. And so there are specific sectors who have been hit very hard by this pandemic. And so we're looking at ways and means when it comes to property taxes. How do we develop a program that helps to alleviate some of their pressures? When it comes to the budget for 2021, Bob, it's going to be looking at how do we keep our costs contained at the same time as providing the services that the public expects. So it's going to be a balance. But what we want to be able to do is drive the costing down enough so that we're not putting an even further burden on our community as they start to come out of what will hopefully be the coronavirus.
Okay, as if the pandemic hasn't caused enough societal problems, we're dealing with the homeless encampment at 12 Mile Creek, which was broken up. Is everyone looked after as far as being connected with social services?
Yeah, and I gotta say thank you to Niagara Region Community Services. There was outreach workers who went in every day before the cleanup took place and found accommodation for those who wanted to be in a home or a place where they feel safe. Unfortunately, not all of them went into the housing units, so it's still going to be an ongoing problem, Bob. And again, this is part of the complexity of the pandemic because shelter spaces are limited and housing availability is limited. And so it's forcing more people to look for other places in which they can try and live, which is living in the rough. And that's not easy for anybody. So we're on top of this, but it's working with agencies. It's working with all levels of government to try and tackle this issue.
Right. On a lighter note, before we wrap, we're going to talk about Culture Days, which is underway and continues through to October 25th. Of course, much different this time around.
Yeah, and it's a lot of virtual activities, but also some in-person ones where we're doing it in a safe way. It's an opportunity for us to shine a light on culture and arts in our community, and I think that is one of the industries that has taken a significant hit. So this is a great opportunity for us to showcase all the vibrant arts in St. Catharines.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for checking in with us and have a fantastic week. St. Catharines Mayor Walter Sendzik. Thanks.